I mean, it's the truest, rawest form of himbo with like no caveats. It's just a himbo.
Just muscle, brawn, abs, and nothing between the ears.
Except
love.
for love. For love.
Annyeonghaseyo! Welcome to Afternoona Delight, where Leah, Megan, and Amy, romance novelists, and your K-romance guides. So grab some dekboki and listen to your new favorite unease.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hi there.
How is everyone today?
I've been on a bit of a little whirlwind around the West Coast. I went to a big conference, not writing related at all, college related, up in Seattle. So I got to go to the new convention center, which was really cool to see it because it's new. And yeah, I just went. It was a student affairs professionals conference. So it was just basically like, how can we be the wokest, most indoctrinating people in all of America?
Yay. Indoctrinate me too.
I'm like, dude, I'm like, it's better on this side. Trust me. Any hoodles.
Well, we're glad you're back.
Yeah. Thank you. So I
Even though I didn't know you were going.
Yeah.
She posts a picture from the airport with, seeing her book in the airport, which is amazing. Let's just talk about that.
Oh, yes. Thank
Leah's
you for
book,
bringing
Mr.
that up.
Hockey, in the airport. Like, come on.
That did feel so. Yeah, I saw my book in the airport at San Jose and in Seattle, and that felt really exciting to see it. And what's funny is that like I've had some pretty long days in my day job lately, and so when I got to the airport, I was kind of a husk of myself, and I saw a bookshop, and I just kind of walked in to just see like I just like going into airport bookshops if I've got a second. So I was just looking around. But then I'm like, oh, I've heard my book is at some airports bookshops. I wonder if it's here. And this is not a humble brag. This is just me bragging. I'm just going to be clear.
Oh, no,
so I like walked around looking and I'm like, I don't see it. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm like, I'm not going to like ask the dude. Like, I'm like, it's fine. It's been out for a little bit. Like, it's probably moved on. And then I went outside and I was turning to go and there was a kiosk. And so I was like on like the kiosk outside, like in front of the bookshop, like the like cap end.
That's
in front
amazing.
Of the entrance.
Badass.
And I was like, fuck you. Like, that's when I took the picture. I was like, okay, this feels exciting. So
this feels like, that is a big moment I have not had yet. I've never had.
Neither have I. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, so that is fucking cool. That is really, really cool. When you posted that picture, I love that.
Thank you. Yeah. So that felt, and I don't know why I was like, what makes the airport bookshop feel like more special?
I don't know, but it does.
It does.
Think because it's so curated. Because I love hotel bookstores hotel airport.
What hotels are you hanging out at?
What hotels do you?
Yeah. No, I'm not that bougie, but I love airport bookstores. I go to them all the time just to kind of like see what they're stocking.
I do too. Every time.
I'm so nosy.
Yeah.
I'm like,
well, that's what I did too.
I always tell my kids more, especially if we're together and we're traveling, I'm like, I need to go see who I know in here. Who I know on the shelves. Like, it's the most exciting thing. I'm like, I know them. Like, I love it.
I know.
It's
and
really
I'm
exciting to see the people, like, know people that are on a book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm so pretentious about it because I tell everyone, I'm like, I know them.
I know
them.
I do too.
It's so fun. That's really, really cool. I'm glad.
So now you can say that you know me and Mr. Hucky. Although what's really funny is, and I probably need therapy about this on some degree because like I don't have like a negative. I still just feel like I like don't know what I'm doing or that I don't belong in author land. Like I'm like, I need some therapy at this point for it.
I mean,
it's like
doing
a funny
it for 10
idea.
years.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it feels real for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what I'm just saying is like, if there's ever a sense, like when do you have a sense that you're like, oh, I've like done a thing that feels like now I'm like, not that I've arrived or I just feel like maybe it's that publishing never feels like a foundation. Like I never feel like I get to a foundation where I'm like, I have stood on this foundation now and I'm here. I constantly feel like I'm either crawling up a curtain or sliding down like the cat with the claws.
100%.
Yeah.
And for a long time,
You're not alone.
Kind of like batting at the bottom of the curtain, just like not even being on the curtain. And so now that I'm back on, I'm like, oh, I forgot that feeling of like, I just never feel like I'm like, oh, well, yeah, it's just kind of like, and I think Leah Riley is like such a depersonalized like person for me. I'm like, well, that's good for her. Look at her doing good
for
today. So yeah, well, I'm sure there's some unpacking to be done there.
I'm actually going to mention 2521, the K-drama, later in this podcast, but in 2521, there's a moment where one character draws a staircase And they say success is a staircase, meaning there's going to be a lot of plateaus. So you might step up, but then you're going to have a lot of plateaus. But I say there's also like straight up fucking holes in the staircase, and you go the whole way back to the bottom and have to go back up. But I think about that scene a lot, because it's true. Like success is, as they say, success is not linear. And so you're going to have moments where you're like, you feel like you hit bottom, but then, you have moments where you're like, wow, I feel like I'm like surging up. You know what I mean?
I think
it's normal.
And I think it's always, especially in this industry, you always feel like there's somewhere higher to climb.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, when you get your first book published, it's like, oh my God, I got my first book published. And when I was first published, I was published digital only. So I was like, this is it. I've arrived. I have a book. You can order it on Amazon. And then when I had my first book in print, I was like, oh, holy shit. Like, this is the real deal. But like, I was never, I feel like, I'm just trying to say like, you're not alone there, Leah, because I always feel like I'm on the cusp of being there, but still not quite there. And then somebody who doesn't know that I'm a writer and finds out that I'm a writer and like will look me up on Amazon and be like, oh, you like have some real books here.
Yeah. And so, I mean, like we have to validate ourselves.
I know. And you forget that like people who don't do this every day, like look at it and like, oh, you did a cool thing.
And I just validate so it's very easy for me to validate everyone else. Like I look at both of you and I would never be like, what tiered system would I slot like friends who are writing into? I'm just like, oh, my friends are writers. They're amazing. It's always like a personal thing too. Sure. And so that's why I've tried to be like, it's not this, like there's something else, like there's deeper work to be done, like that you can't just like feel sad. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I would love to just be able to be like, yes, I'm trying to get better at just being like, yes, I've done a thing. I am really happy about it. And that feels great. I think the other thing with like the Mr. Hockey, and then we'll let this part go, is that since I wrote it so long ago and it's been re-released, I'm very disconnected to like the story itself. Totally. I think having like the book next year come out that I've been like writing and working on, that's going to feel a lot more like, I think personally agitating. Whereas now this is like, I feel like I'm very like happy it's happening, but I also feel like I did that book when my 8-year-old was a 6-month-old.
Yeah, it's so in like a writing journey that feels forever ago, you know?
Yeah, forever ago. Well, I can not even remember it.
I mentioned this last podcast that I had, and I mean, I feel weird. It feels weird calling him an ex-boyfriend when I've been married for almost 20 years. But you know, he was a boyfriend I had in middle school, high school, and he reached out to me, and we've like crossed paths as adults like numerous times. So it wasn't like that weird for him to get in touch. And he was like, I want to meet, and I'm thinking about writing, and I just would really love, like, would you talk to me about writing, about publishing? And I was like, hell yeah! Like if you're gonna draw me out of my hobbit hole of a home and put on hard pants, it'll be to talk about writing. And it was actually really fun because he legitimately just wanted to hear me talk about writing and publishing. Like there are a couple points where I was like, do you want me to stop? Like, am I going on? I get that. Or am I going off topic? And he's like, no. I just want you to keep going. And I was like, okay. So I would just, to a degree, talking to him made me feel, it reminded me of what I accomplished.
You're like, because I know stuff.
Yeah, I was like, I know stuff. And a lot of times I would say to him, I trust myself. I've written so many books that I trust. When I hit a hard point in a book, I know I can get through it because I've done it before. And that only comes with experience. And you know what? I have that experience now. I have that under my belt. And it felt really good to like say that. And he didn't give a shit what I wrote. I'm like, oh, I'm writing like monster alien romance. He's like, okay, that's great. You're a published author. Like, can you just talk to me about that? Like he didn't like denigrate what I was doing, even though that's not at all what he like wants to do or read. So it was really nice. And I will tell you, I recommended for podcast listeners, you've heard us talk about Save the Cat. And I said, look, I'm just telling you right now, you got to read Save the Cat, the one for storytellers. You got to just read that one before you read any more. Cause I always say like, you have to know the rules to break the rules. So just read the original Save the Cat by Blake Snyder. And he sent me a message like, 3 days after we met. And he was like, I finished Save the Cat. And I really liked it. And he's like, and now I realize that like other things I've read have referenced that, and I didn't understand the reference. And now I do. And then he said, I'm going to go on and read Save the Cat Writes a Novel. And I was just so happy because I was like, I feel like I did something. Like,
yes.
Because he's like, I feel actually that's what I wanted. And I feel really inspired to write. Because part of him was like, he was like, how do you focus to like finish a book? Like, he's like, I have all these ideas and I have scenes, and how do I make them into a book? And that's when I was like, you do have to focus, and here are tools that will help you. And it felt really good. I just felt, I was like, oh my God, I'm a professional.
No, totally. And I think that's something else I want to like, if anyone's sitting at home, this was not where I meant to be going with this conversation today, but
Me
like,
either. But whatever. You know, it's a good one.
It's good. I really want to like, because I feel like maybe for some of the reasons that sometimes I'm like, am I really like I'm a writer? It's because I think, because what's funny is I still have this idea of like other people, even though like I even know like the two of you, and like, you know, you're both amazing, but like, you know, everyone's lives are like wild, right? And so, but there's times where like, I mean, I had 104 fever, and I was drafting chapters in this book where I was the most pathetic, disgusting. Like, there was nothing good to see in my.
I don't know how you did. I don't know how you did that. Because when I was sick, when I was sick 2 weeks ago, I couldn't.
So fear. There was no awesome fear, because I wrote my agent and I said, I'm really fucking sick, like sick, very sick. And I still have this deadline. What do you think we could do here? Because like I've accounted at this point. At that point, I had run out of time. Like I was like, I've accounted. Like I have. Like
you're like, if I don't write today,
I'm in big poo poo. And she was like, and this is like a new editor, a new publisher. You know, like she was just kind of like, we gotta like impress. She was like, I trust you. Like, feel better. And I was like, okay, no help is coming. No one is coming to save me. I'm going to do this myself. But what I'm trying to say is, again, like, I don't recommend that for people. Like, it was not good. Although I will say, what is funny, and I will point this out someday when the book comes out, is the part of the book that I wrote, no notes. No one has notes. Yeah, not even the editor. I just went through like the edits, and I had pretty good edits, but like nobody touched this. It's being left as it is. So, you know,
amazing.
Kudos to me in my fever dream. Literal fever dream.
But unable to breathe. Yeah.
I think I got out of my head too, because it's when I had to explain how time travel worked. So I think I was like so sick.
You explained time travel with 104 fever.
Oh my God, Leah.
I bullshitted out my anus.
I am so impressed.
I can't wait to read it.
I think if I wrote it when I was like sentient, it would have been a mess, because
that's what I'm saying.
Like, overthought it.
Right. I was going to say, you would have given yourself like a total brain, like brain ache.
Yeah. And I was just like, fuck it. Like, we're going
ham.
Mysticism. And we are going to make it happen. So no notes. And like, they were like, this checks out enough. I'm like, great. But what I was trying to say is that I think that people sometimes still think like they look around their lives and they see them just living their own lives. And they're like, my life just feels like, what? Like, it's me on the couch at night? That's me writing a book? Like, I just feel like people psych themselves out because they're not in a position where they look or feel like they're doing something, because they're just at home with their computer. And I just want to normalize so much that like you can write any way that you want to do it. You could put your Google Doc on your phone and do it like in your kid's sport class. Like I wrote books with Eenie. Like, I've never been in a position where like something's beautiful. Like I have a beautiful desk with like a vase of flowers and like a cup of tea, and like everything feels like nothing's today.
Aesthetic. Yeah, nothing is aesthetic here.
I have a corner on the couch. That's where I write.
And so I just want to like, if anyone's in that space being like, am I making this up? Like, am I being ridiculous? No. And I still think other people must have like, because I like picture like other people writing, and I always picture these like aesthetic situations and these like lovely desks and like moments of deep thought and grandeur. But in my heart of hearts, I'm like, you're probably just in your underwear crying somewhere.
Oh yeah.
We all are on deadline. I'm thinking I'm on deadline. I have a book due. I have 2 books due the end of how does this keep happening?
I know.
I have a draft due the end of this month and an edit due the end of this month.
Oh my God, Amy.
It's all good. It's all good.
You'll do it from your couch in your underwear.
I'll do it. But like, and I'm getting new gums this month again.
Yes, new gums.
How are the old new gums doing?
The old new gums are fine. They're fine. Yeah.
Look, you're gonna have teeth.
I'm gonna have teeth. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm spending money on my gums. That could be a trip to Korea.
So if your gums are fucked, get the gums so you have the teeth. And if you have a book that you want to write and you feel like you are in no way qualified to write the book and everything around you looks ridiculous, you're more than qualified. And I will take pictures. If anyone needs to feel hyped up, I will take you a picture of my working process at any given time to make you feel like, oh, well, if she can do it, I can do it.
Oh, no, my hair's sticking straight up. It's greasy. My coffee has mold on it from like 3 days ago on my dad. Like, yeah, I mean, nothing about my writing process is aesthetic. I have an office. You want to know my office floor is just covered in laundry. Covered. Like, I actually can't
believe
walk.
In yourself, friend.
It's like 2 inches.
Believe in yourself.
It's like a foot deep in here.
You're surrounded by laundry on the floor right now?
Oh, I could show you. I'm surrounded by laundry.
So do you know what you kind of sound like, right? Oh,
I just
oh my gosh, curtain pulled back. Like,
to show them all the laundry. I'm like,
that was much worse than I expected.
Every time I see you, every week, I'm like, she's in this like nice empty room. It's so nice. Yeah.
Same. You just pulled back a veil even in our relationship.
Yep. Was not expecting that at all.
It is 2 feet deep in here. I don't even
like
know
today when you were like, what are you gently drinking? And I was like, oh, I'm just pouring this bottle of Tito's.
I thought you had like a water bottle and you're like, it's Tito's. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. Let's get to the topic.
Well, you know what we all sound like right now?
Himbos.
A bunch of himbos.
A bunch of himbos.
Lovable himbos, though.
There's a segue. Let's jump in.
So excited about this. So recently, one of our favorite romance novel podcasts, Fated Mates, released an episode celebrating himbos in romance, and we were inspired to talk about our favorite K-drama himbos. So first of all, what is a himbo? The word is a mismatch of the word him and bimbo. The hosts of Fated Mates described a himbo as darling, sweet, and made of nothing but love and abs. Himbo is, in fact, in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, and the definition is an attractive but vacuous man.
I love it.
I know, right? So, Rebecca Ford wrote an article for Vanity Fair just in January of this year about himbos, which we will link in the show notes. And I do recommend reading it because it's a good article. And also, take a shot every time we say himbo of Tito's. Take a shot every time we say himbo in this podcast because it'll be a lot. So anyway, this is what Rebecca Ford writes. Quote, the noun himbo entered the English language 36 years ago, thanks to Rita Kempley of the Washington Post. And then her quote, their chest measurements rival Dolly Parton's, she wrote. Their brains would embarrass a squid. They do nude scenes and are wildly popular with both girls and boys. They come in 2 varieties, greased and armed to the teeth, or moosed and undressed to die for. End quote. The former category included Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger, the latter Richard Gere, Tom Selleck, and remember, this was the 80s, Gary Hart. In the years since, himbos have thrived and proliferated. That's partly because, while the word bimbo is universally understood to be pejorative, men can generally find a way to take anything as a compliment. So, end quote of the Vanity Fair article, which I also really liked that last sentence.
In fairness, later waves of himbos have more going on for them than their forebears did, including endearing qualities that transformed them, despite their flaws, into one of the more likable male archetypes out there. Think about how dear to our hearts the following non-deep thinkers are. The lovable smoothie Joey from Friends, the molten stripper known as Magic Mike, even Thor from the Marvel movies with his biceps and hammer. There's so little stigma attached to playing a dim or dim adjacent male character that some of our most resourceful actors have recently done variations on the theme, and there are now himbos in the Oscar race. Oh, we should say were, because the Oscars are over now.
Yeah.
The most gloriously unreconstituted new member of the species, of course, is Ryan Gosling's gorgeous bleach blonde Ken in Greta Gerwig's sly smash, Barbie. He's Ken.
Yeah, he's Knuff.
He's Knuff.
He is Knuff.
Yeah, like I said, we are going to link that article in the show notes because I did think it was pretty good. And so yeah, first of all, let's talk about it. Do you like the himbo archetype? And what do you like about it?
So I was mentioning before we got on that I also found a BuzzFeed list of himbos, and the title of it was Head Empty, Heart Full of Gold. And I think that that's the best way to describe the modern day himbo. And I do love a himbo, especially because they usually turn out to be such adorable golden retrievers. Like the Vanity Fair article really touched on some great ones. Joey Tribbiani, like so perfect. I know that, we're not all friends lovers, but I am. And Joey is like the ultimate himbo. Ken is such a fantastic example. I mean, his whole purpose was to call out the patriarchy, yet he's still so beloved because of his himboness. And Thor, I mean, come on, Chris Hemsworth understood the assignment. Like, he's the best. If you're not part of the MCU fandom, like, go watch Thor Ragnarok and you will be.
So, I mean, look, they're pretty to look at, obviously, if you find men attractive. And if you aren't sexually attracted to men, like, they're still pretty like a himbo is just attractive to look at. But I think the thing that makes them really special to me, because like the dumb part, like, yes, you can lean hard in on the dumb, but there's usually like some wisdom. Like, it's more, I don't think dumb's the right word. I just think it's like simple.
Yeah.
And there's wisdom in simplicity sometimes.
I love
Absolutely.
that.
And also, I think it's just that, like, for, female identified folk, I think it also feels safe. So there's something with the himbo that, like, you're not getting a sense that you being around them is going to put you in any kind of danger. You're just in a really safe space with that. And, like, I'm just thinking of even, like, in K-pop. So another place that does himbo well is Kpop. And there's some amazing himbos in Kpop that, like, yes, they've got like a certain role to play and a certain personality, but again, it's just part of that fan experience. One that I'm going to give a special shout out to, I think, is Meenie from 17. Like, perfect himbo. And we can put that in the show notes too, because you'll thank me later for that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think himbos too aren't necessarily like, I mean, I think there's obviously maybe different kinds of himbos, but to me, a himbo is also maybe like the opposite of socially cunning. So they're not trying to play a game, they're socially. So they might even be like super smart, like intellectually. Maybe they do really well on a test or something like that, but they're never trying to like play a game with someone they are romantically interested in. There may be a little bit of a himbo when it comes to like romantic relationships. And I love that. And so like, I think of this is a little bit outside the like bounds of himbo, but I'm still going to
stretch it. We can stretch it.
Yeah. And let me explain, but I'm going to say Indiana Jones, because while he's like a history professor and he's like a genius when it comes to history, he is clueless when it comes to women. Yeah. And if you watch the movies, he wins by accident most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't necessarily win because he's super good at like what he's doing. Sometimes he is. He can be really, really smart, for sure. Like when he picks the right golden cup. Remember that? And that was
the Last Crusade.
Thank you, The Last Crusade. I knew you'd know, Amy. But anyway, but when it comes to like women, he's such a total himbo.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's beautiful to look at, and he's got great abs. And
he can't tell that a woman's the enemy, like, because that's what in The Last Crusade, he falls in love with the woman who double crosses him. Like,
he has no clue. He has no clue. And so I just think of him a little bit as a himbo. Again, anytime
I think it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of like they win by accident. And I grew up on Indiana Jones. He was one of my first crushes. So that archetype where he, I think like some of the women thought he was playing a game when really he was just fucking clueless. Right. And so, yeah, I love it because maybe that's what I watched as a kid. And I think what Leah said too about that it feels safe.
There's not the toxic masculinity going on with a himbo.
So, in a romance, what pairing works well with a himbo? So, like, what's a character archetype that kind of matches well with a himbo?
So I'm going to use like a very specific one that I really liked in Western media, and it doesn't have to always be this way, but I think it like I like that Leah used simplicity because I'm going with Jason Mendoza from The Good Place, which I don't think either of you have watched, and it's a fantastic show. It's only 4 seasons, highly recommend. Very smart, but basically The Good Place, it's a sitcom. It's a Mike Schur produced sitcom, so it's the same guy who did like Parks and Rec and The Office and stuff like that. And it's this group of 4 people. They're the main characters who die and go to the good place. But stuff happens and, it gets very philosophical about like good and bad and all that fun stuff. So anyway, Jason, just to give you an idea of who Jason Mendoza was, Jason ends up in the good place and he gets mistaken for a monk who has taken a vow of silence. And so he's, pretending to be this monk all the while knowing he's not supposed to be in the good place. Like something is wrong. And when he finally like identifies who he is and we learn a little bit of his backstory, he's not this monk named Jianyu. He's Jason Mendoza. He died by trying to hide away in a safe to commit a robbery and thought that he could breathe in the safe with a snorkel, just having it inside the safe with him. Okay. So he suffocates. Jason falls in love with Janet, who is the good place's AI in human form. And Janet knows all the answers to everything in the universe within a matter of seconds. And he falls in love with her. And she, through a series of, if you haven't watched the series, it's going to be a little bit of a spoiler, whatever, through a series of like reboots, gets more and more like human-like every time she gets rebooted. And she falls in love with Jason too. And like, he endears himself to her with his simplicity. Like Leah was saying, like, it's not that he is a lot of times like dumb as a bag of rocks. Like you give him a balloon, he's entertained for like hours, but like also he'll come up with like a solution to like a problem that they're in. And they're like, oh my God, like, yeah. And I think it's pairing him with somebody who has all the answers, and doesn't let that make her feel superior to him, but it's a way that they mesh because she fills the gaps and it works. And so I like that. Like, I don't want somebody who is dumb as a bag of rocks and can't ever like communicate on the same plane. And I think that they were a really good example where heart of gold means the best, will do anything for anybody, has the simplest answers to every question and is paired up with somebody who has the exact right answer to everything and still finds him endearing.
Yeah, I would say that like, not to get, because I don't have a lot more to add. I would just say it's basically for me like a head bitch in charge. Mm-hmm. That's, I think, like the perfect compliment. There are other ones because I don't want to start to use too many because I like bring up different examples later. But my favorite pairing of the himbo is the head bitch in charge. Sometimes I feel like you could get like a little bit of a like hapless heroine with a heart of gold who maybe has been like led astray. I'm going to talk about Frozen later because there's some good himbo pairings in Frozen. But my favorite is when we've got like the ultra competent head bitch in charge, and then she's got the himbo because basically the himbo lets his lady shine.
Yes.
And loves their power and finds their power sexy and their competence sexy.
Absolutely.
Which is like the ultimate fantasy, is that you've got this like, characteristic, like somebody that looks like they should be just seeped in toxic masculinity, but there's somehow this unicorn that just wants you to shine. But like you get all the, like the fantasy eye candy and like male goodness without like the ick.
You're articulating everything I was trying to say about Jason, so you should go watch The Good Place.
I know we're going to get to K-dramas, but that reminds me of Into the Ring. Just like head bitch in charge. She knows what she wants. She's good at what she does. And he's just like, I will support you. Although he wasn't a himbo, but
He
I'm
wasn't.
just saying.
But he had the element of support at least, if he wasn't a himbo.
So for me, first of all, I mean, I'm gonna love like a tsundere heroine who's just like, she is cold, she's standoffish, and he just breaks down her walls until she just wilts. And then she's a freaking marshmallow for him, but she's still like a bitch to everyone else. My favorite. Like when she's only nice to him, I love it. And then my other kind of favorite pairing is like, I guess a woman that is maybe you'd call her like a bit of a player. So she's like she's been in the game. She's dated a lot of men and she's been like let down. She's been played. Men have just done her dirty. And then this like sweet little himbo comes along and she's like, oh, well, you're gonna like be like everyone else. And then he again breaks down her walls and it's just beautiful. So I think those are my two favorites. Okay, so do we have any favorite himbos in Western culture?
So I already mentioned Jason from The Good Place. He's a great one. I feel like I didn't really understand how much I loved himbos until I started like going back to like figuring out which himbos I like. And I'm going to go back a little bit to, we all know I love vampires. True Blood, the HBO series True Blood. And Jason Stackhouse, played by Ryan Quanten. Okay. And he, I mean, like, ultimate himbo. I mean, like, when is Jason ever dressed? When is he not having sex with somebody? But he is the sweetest, most lovable goof and will do anything for his family. But he is a total himbo. And then my most recent favorite himbo is Jamie Tart from Ted Lasso. Which Megan, how in
I know.
world?
I don't know. At this point, it's just
I'm like insulted. Like at this point, I'm just mad. But you haven't watched it.
It doesn't make sense.
I know it doesn't. It's my favorite sport. I know.
And you would like it.
I know. I will remedy this. I'm not
So
disagreeing
weird.
with you.
It's so weird.
I know.
But Jamie Tart, and he, I mean, like, I think another thing, like, we're talking about the idea of like this sort of simplicity to the way that they think and cluelessness about women. And he is clueless about women until the very end, which I love. But he grows in so many other ways, and becomes like so much more self-aware and stuff like that. But in the beginning, Jamie is all about Jamie, and he is a bit like I think he grows into his himbo-ness because he's an asshole in the beginning. And throughout the 4 seasons, I mean, he is my favorite character.
They're growing into a himbo's the best.
He grows into a himbo and he becomes this little golden retriever by the end, which is beyond amazing. And not just when we're talking about like relationships with women, but relationships like friendships with other men, particularly Roy Kent, like best bromance in recent history in Western media. So like Megan, get on it. Like get on it. I'll give, if you need, like, do you have Apple TV? If you don't, I'll give you my login. Like,
no, I have it.
It's only
all right.
3 seasons.
So for me, yeah, I know it's too much. So I alluded to Frozen. So first, Kristoff is the biggest himbo. Yeah. And while I would say that Anna is not a head bitch in charge by any level, their relationship works because she's a little bit lost and he just believes in her no matter what and thinks she's awesome. And so that like still holds up the traits of the himbo. And so even though, she's not like super, but you know what? It's interesting. The 2 Western media ones I have, neither is a head bitch. Well, the next one is a little more of a head bitch in charge, but you'll see. So the other one I have, who I really love, is from Schitt's Creek, and that's Ted. And so, I just think that like so he's a veterinarian.
So he's not dumb by any means.
He's not dumb,
but he's simple.
He's a simple man.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I just completely old lady blanked on her name.
Alexis.
Thank you, Jesus.
She's a little bit Alexis.
She's a little bit Alexis. Head bitch in charge? I mean, maybe in her mind. I don't know if like in the audience.
And she becomes one at the end too.
She does. And I mean, like, look, I would say that like bitch, I mean, with like fondness too, like, you know, but yeah, he's a simple guy who just wants to, you know, he support his woman. But I think Kristoff really fits that like very big lug, the dumb big lug with a heart of gold.
He's a bit of a fixer-upper.
Exactly. Thank you.
I don't know. I feel like drawing outside the lines tonight. You guys are going to be like, what the fuck with this example? But I don't care.
I liked Indiana Jones, so
I'm curious.
So he might not have the abs.
That's fine.
But I'm going to say Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I've never seen it, but I support you.
Oh,
I was just going to say...
Charlie. God, I love Charlie.
My kids and I are rewatching it right now. Like, I can't get enough of him.
So, before I had my kids, in the early days of my marriage, I had the biggest crush on Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Look, he is not smart, but he's smart sometimes.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking of the episode where they're at the other bar and they see the door marked private. And he's like, do you think a pirate lives in there?
Do you think a pirate? Anyway, oh God, I love Charlie so much. And he has this undying devotion to the waitress. And yes, she's called the waitress. She never has a name.
She's his wife in real life, but
she's his wife in real life. And he loves her. And even though she scorns him, like, Charlie, you're gross, you're ugly, I hate you, leave me alone.
Like she slept with Danny DeVito instead of him.
Yeah, Charlie's like, I don't care, I love you, and I will do anything for you. Like, he's the epitome of, like, he'll do anything for the people he loves. And I know It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is incredibly twisted, and none of the people in that are really good people, but I would say Charlie is the goodest of the bad people.
They're horrible people. He's the goodest because he doesn't know any better.
Yeah. But you know, I just love him. He's a total himbo, and I just felt like talking about Charlie. So that's mine.
He's the day man.
Yeah. And I did see It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia when they had their live shows. Again, that was like before my kids were born, but Neil and I went to go see them in Philadelphia when they had so we were in Philadelphia watching their live show, and it was a madhouse. Like the people in the audience were legitimately all college students. And when the show let out, it was just chaos. Like people jumping on cars in the street. Like I don't even understand, but it was definitely an experience. Anyway, that's off topic. So the Vanity Fair article also says this about himbos. Quote, unlike their muscle-bound forebears from the 80s, the current generation of himbo characters are rarely malicious, and give or take a French emperor, the power never lies with them. There's an innocence that's endearing, especially to women dealing with toxic masculinity on a day-to-day basis in the real world. There's no real threat with a himbo. They're all beauty and no bite. End quote. So yeah, what do you think about this? And, you know, are himbos on the rise because of feminism?
I do think we have a different generation of them now. I think Ken has like totally redefined it, right? Like, because even though Ken seemingly does something malicious to Barbie by, you know, trying to turn the Barbie dream house into his Mojo Dojo Casa house. He doesn't have malicious intent. Like, he's doing it because he wants to be as happy as all the Barbies were. And he doesn't understand why he can't achieve that happiness. And when he takes over the house and turns it into the Mojo Dojo Casa house, he's still not happy. He still hasn't found what he wanted. And he learns that. And so even though he does try to take something from Barbie, I don't think that he like like we were talking about, like with it being like socially before, like he wasn't trying to be socially conniving. He was just trying to be happy and didn't know how to go about doing it. And in the end, you know, learns and grows from it. So I mean, I do think we've got like a totally different generation of it. Like we don't have, you know, like Rambo and you know, Rocky Balboa and stuff like that. Not that those were not like worthy like characters and worthy movies and stuff, but I think it's a totally different man that we're getting, and he's serving a different purpose. Like where I think the 80s himbo was like just like dumb as a bag of rocks and could like shoot a gun.
Mm-hmm. Which was Rocky for sure. Like Sylvester Stallone as Rocky,
but
was hands down a himbo, but a toxic one.
Well, and here's, I think, with the point, sorry, like, all of a sudden just, like, wanted to talk.
No, go.
It, is the 80s himbos, that was male gaze. That was, like, for men to show up and be like, yeah, this
greased
is my
up, oiled. Like,
yeah. Whereas, like, the himbo of now, like, okay, so flip it to, like, a bimbo, which is, like, an objectively, usually negative connotation. Like, yes, there's things like Elle Woods' character kind of flipping the switch on that, and, like, but, you know, I would say that, like, bimbo in our society is seen as bad, whereas himbo, I would say, generally has, like, a good connotation. And I think what's interesting in that is that within, like, I mean, I would say that, like, when many men are talking about bimbo type of things, they're in a place of pure objectification. Whereas, like, the himbo, the key with the himbo is that there's a humanization happening.
Mm-hmm. Always.
And that's part of the female gaze, is that, like, what you're seeing is this, like, kind of celebration of masculinity, but it's like the golden retriever version.
Right.
And so you're seeing a lot of, like, the, you know, and when you're looking at golden retriever, there's nothing but love coming through that little face. I saw a golden retriever yesterday, and I'm on the record as being, like, not anti-dog, but, you know, I'm kind of like dog whatevs. But you see a golden retriever and you're just like, you're just love, buddy. Like, you just got love in there. There's just, like, nothing but good heart and, like, good intentions inside of your entire body.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I would say, to me, a modern day himbo is going to be a feminist.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's not a feminist, I don't think he's a himbo.
Mm-mm.
I think he's just dumb. Like,
correct.
It has to be the whole package of, like, innocence, love, good intentions, and straight up, like, feminism and equality, or to me it's not really a himbo. And obviously Ken gets there, and Ken is interesting too, because obviously it's framed within that movie that we all know what we're watching in a way, like it's because it's Barbie. So although Ryan Gosling himself sometimes feels like a himbo.
Oh yeah, I mean, even in Crazy Stupid Love, which I love so much.
Such a good movie.
I think it's my favorite romance, like, romantic comedy.
That's one with Steve Carell and Emma Stone. That. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't remember the name of it, but yeah, that was really, really good. I love it.
But I mean, yeah, he's got a himbo quality in it. Not as classic as, I mean, I really think, like, something like Christoph just, like, embodies it, like, completely. But I mean, yeah, he's got it with a little. The thing with Christoph is that it's a G-rated Disney movie, so, like, you got a himbo without fucking. Whereas, like, you know.
Right.
All right, well, now it's time for our favorite part of every episode, which is our K-pop Rec of the Week, and then we will be on to the straight Korean content for the rest of it.
I'm so excited. So Chungha has a new song out, so she is a soloist. And I adore her. There are a lot of her songs that I have liked in the past, and I think she recently changed companies. And this new song is called Eenie, Meenie. And the best part about it is that the guest rapper on this song is Hongjoon from ATEEZ. His verse is great. The song is great. The dancing is great. It's sexy. She kind of talks about how she's like, I know what I want, and so I can pick them out, just like Eenie, Meenie, Miny, Mo. Like, it feels very confident girl power, and I love it. I love it. And she's extremely beautiful. She looks fantastic. And it's a really great song. It's super fun. And yeah, I hope you check it out. So it's Chungha, and the song is Eenie, Meenie.
If you enjoy our podcast, you have our patrons to thank, at least in part. Afternoona Delight Patreon allows us to keep creating content for y'all to enjoy. Thank you so much to everyone who is supporting us there. And not to brag, but our Patreon community is pretty awesome. And you can join at a tier that feels good to you. Gain access to fun perks like K-drama posts, monthly Patreon-only bonus podcasts, and even a live K-drama support group on Zoom. Because we know firsthand what it's like to have no one to talk to about those crazy plot twists, amazing characters, and all those feelings. And look, no one should have to walk that walk alone. So learn more by visiting afternoonadelight.com. That's www.afternoonadelight.com. And hey, while you're on the website, you can check out Afternoona Delight podcast merch, find links to book recommendations, bop along to our K-pop recs, glow up your skin with K-merch recs, find all of our social media, and a link to our email so you can send us recommendations or feedback. And hey, while you're at it, why don't you pop over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review? It really helps with our discoverability. 감사합니다.
So, finally, let's talk about K-drama himbos. Oftentimes, the himbo is a lovable sidekick, so a friend of the lead or the second male lead, who is a himbo who didn't get top billing, but still stole your heart.
So I feel like I'm going a little bit outside the lines here, too, because I'm going with Woo Do-won as Joan Sub in The King Eternal Monarch. I don't think he ever shows his abs. He's got, he's always just got like a goofy grin on his face and is always smiling and his beautiful, sweet little smile. But I think that he was like, especially when we get to see him like fall for his doppelganger, like as like a bromance type of thing. I just think he's adorable and he stole the show and he was just there to be pretty. Like, he could not wrap his mind around, this like doppelganger parallel worlds thing, but he was there for his own doppelganger and would do anything for him. And I just thought it was adorable and I loved him. I also want to give a shout out to Lee Kyung, who is our evil Minwon in Marry My Husband, but as a lovable himbo of a sidekick in Go Back Couple, as Go Duck Jae with his long hair wig back when they're in college. And he was always just so concerned about his hair. And then finally, I've got a few here. I'm sorry. I kind of went crazy.
No, keep going.
So the only reason that I stuck with Run On was for Lee Young-hwa, played by my love, Kang Tae-ho, and his relationship with the second female lead, Soo-young. Like, there's a scene where he dove into a pool fully clothed just to retrieve a bracelet that she dropped into the water. And like, it was not in the deep end. Like, it was right there. She probably could have reached in and picked it up. The only reason that scene happened is so that we could see beautiful baby Kang Tae-ho climb out of that pool with his t-shirt, probably a sweater too, I don't even remember, just sticking to his torso. Like,
I don't remember this scene, so I love the
Oh my gosh. I remember this scene, and then I remember him crying over the chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when she breaks up with him, just crying while he's eating fried chicken. Just like total himbo. And then the most beautiful himbo of all is Kim Jae-wook in Coffee Prince.
Stunning.
You think he's a himbo?
In Coffee Prince?
Yeah, I would not have given that himbo.
See,
I would have given that
for me, he's because I feel like he's just there to be pretty.
Interesting. All right. Well, we can, that's a rich debate, is where do we have the lines of himbos and not himbos?
That's fine.
So
yeah.
One person's himbo is another person's.
Exactly.
I just went with one example, and this is an example I think, Amy, but Megan doesn't, which is from Descendants of the Sun.
That's a good one.
But yeah, for sure, my favorite himbo is Seo Dae-young, who is the second male lead. His call sign is Wolf, and he's a drill sergeant. At one point, you see him doing, he's got a cadet, I guess. I don't know what you call like a mandatory conscripted soldier, doing deep squats well, he is blowing a whistle and on his shoulders. So that's like having to do these squats as he's like blowing the whistle and yelling at everyone else, like sitting on him. But he's just like this little muscle maniac. I would say that he is, but the thing is he's not just a bowl of sunshine happy. So that is like, I think like where he differentiates a little bit. I'd say he's very driven, he's very brave, and he's very loyal. And then he also has requited feelings to the second female lead. They are in love. She is ready to mount him and, raise the Korean birth rate. However, her dad is a general. And so he also is like messed up with kind of this like feeling of not being good enough for the general's daughter. The general doesn't help that situation by being like, you're not good enough for my fucking daughter. And so like, since that's like the chain of command, they kind of have this little bit of like a wistfulness in their relationship. But she is a badass soldier, like the baddest. So like it fits with like that head bitch in charge pairing where she's just like nothing but competent. And he is, he's got some stuff going on upstairs, but really he's there to bring the muscle.
That's the only thing about Descendants of the Sun that I like is that couple.
Yeah, the second lead was my favorite part.
Like
of
their whole couple. Yeah, Kim Ji Won.
They were amazing. Great. They could have been their own drama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kim Ji Won just plays such a good head bitch in charge, basically. Yeah, and she like outranks him as well, which is lovely in the drama because she's also a soldier.
Love it. She's so great.
Yeah, so she can like order him into her presence when he like doesn't necessarily want to be there because he's like fighting his like horny feelings for her.
Yes. So I was going to mention Udo Wan, so I'm really glad Amy did because I was going to bring him up because he's perfect as a himbo in
King Eternal Monarch.
Said Guardian, yeah. But then Amy reminded me of my favorite himbos.
I left him for you.
I know. Thank you, Amy, because I forgot. It's been so long.
I left her a note in the margin. I'm like, I know. You don't talk about this person.
It's been so long since it came into my life at first that I've nearly forgotten. But I'm going to say Eun-gi from her private life. So Eun-gi was played by An Bo-hyun. Okay. So the lead was played by Park Min-young, who we love. And Eun-gi was like her adopted brother. Like they weren't related, but they grew up together. And I know
his mom raised her.
Yeah. So whatever. You know what? I don't care. But he, as an adult, realized that he was in love with her. And he was amazing. Because he truly, so her big secret was that she's a fangirl. And he kept her secret from everyone. Like he was the only one who knew. He kept her secret for her. He supported her when she needed it. He would like meet her in the playground at dark when she needed to talk to someone. Like he was always there for her. And he realized that he was in love with her. And he was just so, like, earnest, which I feel like I didn't say that word yet.
That's a good one.
He was so earnest. And that's one thing about himbos that I love. They're just so earnest. It's the best word to describe it. And that's the way he was. And when he was ready to confess to her, he, like, bought this suit. And I know in the we called it his, like, little sad suit.
He put on a suit to tell her
to confess to her
because he's always in sweats. Always in sweats
because he's like a judo or
trainer.
Taekwondo guy. I don't remember which one it is. And but he's too late. She had already fallen in love with Kim Chae-wook, which I cannot.
The little suit. No.
What?
The little suit. It's too much.
And it was like ill-fitting.
It was like too small.
But the gesture was just so wonderful.
Oh. I know. And that's when I fell in love with An Bo-hyun and started just the madness that is me and An Bo-hyun.
And Sad Showers.
And Sad Showers. And I will say An Bo-hyun plays an amazing, amazing himbo. There's something about him where he's like this like tall, gorgeous, muscle-bound dude but he has these like soulful, vulnerable eyes that he just can play that so well. So yeah, shout out to Eungi for being my favorite non-lead himbo. And also, I'm going to give a shout out as well to Kwak Si Young from Cafe Minimdong. So remember him?
Oh my God. But like, okay, so here's the thing. IRL, he's gorgeous.
Oh,
but the way he acted with his face in Cafe Minimdong,
and he
was not.
But he was like, this is my favorite. I love when it's like a himbo who like doesn't know what's going on ever. But when someone is like, I need you to defend me, he's like, I'm there. So he was like this amazing fighter. He could always defend his friend, which was Salt and Gook. But he was just, and he also like had a crush. He had a crush on Salt and Gook's
his sister.
So he just kind of had this like beautiful, earnest crush on her. And he's actually the one thing I remember from that entire drama. Because I actually don't remember much of that drama, but I remember him. So there you go.
There you go.
He stuck with me. All right. So let's do it. Who is your favorite K-drama himbo lead in a romance?
Gongyu Coffee Prince.
He kind of is, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say fuckboy, but like
he is a fuckboy. He is a fuckboy, and he's a fuckboy himbo. But then he just turns into a hero with a heart of gold in the end. But I thought, ultimate one. But I also like, is it me or are Chaeble's himbos?
Like, it just depends.
What? I mean, I think of like Park Seo-joon in Secretary Kim. Like, he's a smart man for sure, but he has no idea how to woo a woman.
Yeah, he has some himbo tendencies for sure.
Yeah, and I also thought of Park Seo-joon in like Fight for My Way.
No,
like, not a Chaebol, but a himbo.
A himbo. He's actually who I wrote down. A himbo.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. It's okay. But I'm just saying, he's the best himbo in Fight.
Yeah, so I think that Park Seo-joon just does good himbo.
He does.
And yeah, but I do. Yeah, I think Han Kyul from Coffee Prince is. I think that's a good starting point for me. Yeah, as far as like my himbo love.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I was gonna say Park Seo-joon in Fight for My Way. He was a perfect himbo. I mean, probably my top favorite was him in Fight for My Way.
And he's there for the abs in that drama.
He's there for the abs, and like he doesn't like no, like I think what I love about him is he doesn't even understand his own feelings. But then when he finally gets it, he's like, "These are my feelings, and I'm gonna stick with these feelings. These are it. Like this is it for me. I love her. I love Chae-ra." You know, when he finally like commits, he commits fully. Ugh. A random like the part where he's like preparing for his fight and he's just like shirtless and beautiful came up in like my Instagram feed just like today, and I'm like, I need to watch that drama again. It's so good.
One of my favorite things about watching that drama, and it's not himbo related, but I always want to bring it up, is when I talk about how when he walks out for his fight, he walks out to my favorite BTS song, and it's fire burning up, and like you guys are like, yeah, whatever, because Leah was not ARMY yet, and I was like, I just want you guys to listen to this song.
It's so good. It's actually one of my favorite BTS songs. And then the second one I'm going to mention is the lead from Unlock My Boss.
Oh, I still have to watch that.
So I did really like that. I know it maybe was not for everyone, but I thought it was pretty great. Yeah, so the lead actor's name is Choi Jong-hyuk. He plays In-sung. And look, he's a himbo. I don't care what anyone says. He's a little bit of a himbo. He's really just like a guy who does a lot of part-time work, and he gets thrust basically into this whole scenario where he has to pretend to be a CEO of a company that he knows nothing about. But he's an actor, like at heart. So he just like fakes it. And he's almost so himbo-ish that it lets him be confident. Like, I feel like if he was a little bit smarter.
Yeah, I think so.
He's like,
Himbos are confident. Himbos are definitely confident.
Yeah. I feel like if he was a little bit smarter, he could never pull it off. But because he's just that edge of himbo, he's like, I can do this. And he has a romance with a woman who works at this company. She's his assistant. She doesn't trust him. She doesn't like him. She is only there for the money because she has to support basically like an ailing family member. So she's like, that's all she's about. Okay. But he draws her in because he's such a golden retriever, sunshine character. And she ends up falling for him. And then she like tells him everything. Like, she's like, this is the way my life is. My life is hard. And this is why. And you know what? I'll do it, but I'll do everything to support you. And they then kind of team up. And I love that. He was such a good himbo. And I haven't seen him in anything else, but I've heard that he has played a similar character before and he's excellent at it.
So I have two good ones, I think. So the first one is the most X-rated character to ever grace K-drama or Korean cartoons, and that is Mignon.
Yeah.
Which, look, my friends, you will have to go on a journey to find this drama. You may end up on porn sites with dicks. You may end up on Vimeo. You may end up on YouTube. It is a hard drama to track down. It is mignon like a filet mignon, Mignon. We had Emma on from our Patreon who recommended this wildly weird, incredibly sexual drama. They're like 8-minute long episodes and there's like 6 of them. So you watch it in about a cool less than an hour. But the premise overall is an underground fighter named Mignon who is all muscle, nothing going on upstairs.
Nothing.
And his love, nothing but love in that boy. And his obsession with the doctor that is employed by the underground fighting club to like put them all back together, who happens to be a vampire. And we have, I mean, they blur it out, but we have there's a lot of dirty that happens in that. That's all I'm going to say. It's weirdly hot for being a cartoon, and it's weirdly emotional for being 48 minutes. So yeah, if you can find it, go on a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah. I just want to say it took me a while to find it, but I did. It was amazing. And Leah is 100% right. Mignon is actually one of the best himbos I've ever seen.
I mean, it's the truest, rawest form of himbo with like no caveats. It's just a himbo.
Just muscle, brawn, abs, and nothing between the ears.
Except
love.
for love.
For
love.
He just
Devoted
loves this
love.
doctor, and that's all he cares about. And he doesn't know anything else.
Yeah. Fighting and love. And then another one I'm going to give who has a lot more between the ears, but I think still kind of fits within it quite a lot is Park Hyung-suk's character from Happiness. Yeah. He does have a little bit more brains, but there's a lot of brawn. And look, I think that what cements him for me in himbo status is when shit hits the fans with the zombie, he's the big lug who's grabbing the baseball bat. And that's just like iconic himbo behavior. It's like shit's going down. He's the one walking with the bat.
Yeah. Well, at one point, he's like, you know what, honey, you can have the bat. I'll take the net. Because he lets her have, like, that's total himbo status because he's like, oh, I'll let my woman I'll let my woman have, like, the real weapon.
Yeah. And she was the brains of the operation.
100%.
And so, again, that kind of gives him the himbo vibes. Okay, now you can release and move on.
I'm sorry, but those were both very good.
Thank you.
So who do you think, like, what actor would play a great himbo?
Rowoon. I think he kind of is a little bit of a himbo in Tomorrow. But I think
King's Affection, which I don't understand. I mean,
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it. Is he a himbo in King's Affection?
It's like the greenest flag himbo.
Okay, I like it. Not in Woo. Just based on all of the content that has been all over my Instagram lately since watching Marry My Husband, like all of the not in Woo content, not Marry My Husband content, like just him as a person. I don't think that he is simple, but I think that he could pull off himbo like really well.
In real life, he's a goof.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like he's a total goof, and I just think he'd be an adorable himbo. And like, Only because I think he kind of was a bit of a himbo in Love to Hate You, Uteo.
Mhm.
Like, I adored him in that role, and I want to see more of that.
Yeah,
because like he could like give us some abs, Uteo. You've got him. Like, can we see more of that, please?
Yeah, and I do just want to say, Amy watched Love to Hate You to my absolute delight. Because I've been trying to get her to watch it. Yeah. And I do have to say, too, Uteo recently, like, he went to the Oscars, which, like,
with his turtle pin.
With a turtle pin. And he talks about how he wears the pin because his turtle named Momo died. And he cried for, like, 3 days. And the turtle's name was Momo. And he's like, my fan club is Momo. And I'm like, are you
I know.
human?
I know.
I just love him so much. And I was so happy to see him at the Oscars. And it was truly the most heartwarming, like, interview I've ever seen of, like, a celebrity.
He's such a sweetheart. Oh my gosh, I can't handle it. So yeah, give us more of what we saw in Love to Hate You, please.
So look, the number one first one that came to my mind, Amy will not know, but Megan will. Even though you haven't watched Yumi Cells, he's in that, but he's been in Hurong too, but really nothing else. And that is for Choi Min Ho from SHINee.
Brilliant.
Oh, I remember him from
Brilliant.
Hurong.
He is an answer.
Oh yeah, so he is just a walking himbo. I'm obsessed. Like, whatever how he shows up in SHINee, God love him.
Yeah.
I am obsessed, like, officially on the record, obsessed with Minho.
Right.
And then two other people that I think that, and so he just is one. He just needs to just turn up and be himself. Just, like, be you.
No, I mean, when I first started watching Hwarang, I looked him up. I'm like, who is this dude? Like, he is pretty.
Yes. So the other two that I would just like to see, Dylan Wong, we're going C-drama there, but I think he could bring some fun himbo. But the one really, Kim Bum. I think Kim Bum could do excellent
100%.
himbo.
Yes.
Let's see it.
I mean, would you say, I feel like he kind of is a himbo in not only Tail and Nine-Tailed, but also in Boys Over Flowers.
So I wrestled with that, and I ultimately decided not a himbo. I decided more tortured, too tortured to be a himbo, and not no heart of gold.
That's true. Too tortured to be a himbo.
Like, he has some heart of gold with Blackie, and but that doesn't make him a himbo. Like, he's got,
I know,
he's got elements, but he's tough.
That's what I think. I think
livers.
He definitely has the himbo gene.
But you can just see he's got a himbo in him.
Yeah, he does.
Waiting to come out.
He does.
Right. So I want to see Udo Wan in, like, a full himbo role.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Actually, in Bloodhounds, he was a himbo. I actually should, but it was just so violent, though, that you couldn't fully enjoy the himbo-ness. But he was a himbo. He was really not very brilliant, but he was, like, just full on, like, muscle and fighting. And then, what about Junho? Junho from
Rain or Shine?
Rain or Shine.
No, not to me. Too damaged.
I want to see him as a himbo.
I know, but I can only,
like.
Well, so I saw in some lists of people talking about, like, himbos and stuff like that when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about, that people thought that he was a bit of a himbo in King the Land, but I didn't watch that, so I don't know. Leah, what do you think?
I don't know.
I don't think he is a himbo in it. But I think he could play a great himbo.
That's what I mean.
I think, he's got the himbo gene, so to speak.
Yeah, so I don't think he was a himbo in Rain or Shine.
No, but I feel like it's hard to forget him.
him.
It's hard to forget him as Gongdu after you see Gongdu. You know?
Oh, I could in King the Land. I could totally forget.
Yeah.
Could you? Okay.
He's great. I just think he's great at, like, chameleoning into different roles.
Totally. And I would love to see him in that role. I just think he'd be great. And what plot would serve a himbo well?
So I was thinking about, like, you were bringing up, like, Udo Wan, that, you thought he was.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. Can we just, I have one more. I'm sorry about this. I just remembered who I wanted to say. one person I want to see play a himbo is San. So from ATEEZ. So he's Choi San. And he played a bit of a himbo in Imitation. And he's kind of has a bit of a himbo role in ATEEZ. And so I would like to see him in like a bigger role. And he's definitely like all abs. And in real life, I actually do think he's smart. I just think they often put him, you know how like in K-pop, like sometimes the members like settle into roles,
right?
But
they get personas.
Yeah, I would love to see him in a full thing. So, okay, sorry, I'll ask this again.
That's okay.
So, what plot would serve a himbo well?
So I was thinking about like when you brought up Charlie Day. It made me think of, well, because I had already written down like a buddy cop thing with a himbo and like a badass woman, but it made me think of when you brought up Charlie Day, it made me think of Andy Samberg in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which I know neither of you have watched. But I have like a mad crush on Andy Samberg, and he is like a Charlie Day type of person, right? Like he's not the first person you'd go to when you think of himbo. But his character, Jake Peralta in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, like he's a detective and he solves cases and he does smart things, but he is clueless in romance and just like a total goof. And he's clueless in everything else about life. Like there's so many jokes about him, like what? I drink water. I had like a glass last week, you know, like dumb stuff. Like he's just a dummy, but like a lovable dummy, but also a really smart detective, but also seriously stupid in romance, but still gets the girl because, you know, she's a badass bitch. So I'd like to see basically Brooklyn Nine-Nine in a K-drama. A buddy cop with, you know, I know it's Leah's favorite thing in the world, with a himbo and a female partner that, you know, she's the badass bitch. She's the brilliant one. Maybe he's kind of, you know, like Indiana Jones-ish where he solves stuff by accident. But you love him for it anyway.
Yeah, you know what? You might like Flex X Cop. So Flex X Cop is airing right now. I've only seen like 2 episodes. I need to catch up to it because I do like it. But the lead is An Bo Hyun.
I know.
And he's a full himbo chable. Like he's not brilliant at all. And full himbo chable. And the female lead, see, I'm not actually sure if the female lead, I need to like keep watching, but I know he's paired off with this like tsundere by the book female cop.
Yeah.
So,
that sounds fun.
it's a really kind of cool pairing because they have to work together. And he totally like, he wins, but he wins by cheating.
Okay.
So it's not like he's like super talented. But he's a little bit, I don't know. He's maybe a little street smart, but, and so you might like it just for fun. Like, I don't think I don't know. We have to see how it goes because they definitely like alluded to some like trauma in his life, in his past, but so far it's, you know, it's a lot of antics.
You know what this made me think of, Leah? Do you think that Kang Ha-neul is a himbo in Camellia?
Oh, we haven't talked about Camellia in a while.
Yeah, I do. I think that's a great
That just made me think of him. Like talking about cops.
No, like, yeah, I can't believe, I feel so bad. Kang Ha-neul. I mean, this is what happens when you end up in some lemons. You do pirates and I forget about you. No, I think you're right. Probably like one of the most classic.
Right? Like
himbo.
that's a total himbo.
How did we not mention that?
Yeah, I mean, truly, I was like besotted. Yeah, golden retriever to the soul of his being.
Yeah.
And like, does his job well as a cop, but like, yeah, like clueless otherwise.
Yeah. No, I love it. For me, I'm just going to go back to, I'm just going to speak these dramas into being. I want bodyguards, and a himbo bodyguard would be amazing. Like get like a Duna type character, like a little spicy, damaged and savage head bitch in charge with like a himbo bodyguard. Yes, please. I mean, even though this is not a himbo or a romance, I'm obsessed with IU and her bodyguard. I don't know if anyone has watched that.
I watch fan edits of that.
Yeah, it's relaxing and delightful. I don't know if he's a himbo or not, but there's just something in their dynamic because she's super tiny, feisty, uber competent. He's like, I mean, he could be 5'6" for how tiny she is. He looks like he's like 9 feet tall. And he's just doing he's tying her scarf. He's helping her off diocese. He's like getting her microphone fixed. And it's lovely. Even though there's like not a romance there, I want something like that with a romance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where she like doesn't realize she loves him, but he's always loved her. That's the dynamic. I don't want enemies to lovers. I don't want a himbo enemies to lovers. I want it to be like he has been there like the Rock and she's just never really like noticed. That's what I want.
Yeah. I'd love like as much as like I'd love an office romance where like the himbo is like I like going off of what Leah said about head bitch in charge. I want a head bitch in charge heroine, and I want her assistant who's a total himbo and loves her. And he'll do like literally everything for her. And maybe he morphs into kind of a bodyguard. Because he's just got to punch people. Like there has to be some punching. You know, he has to defend her from something. But I would like to see that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really embarrassed that we didn't think about Kong Han Newell.
I'm glad that
I am so sorry, baby.
I'm glad that I figured it out.
You did. No. And like probably one of the most true classic forms of himbo. Like he doesn't have a himbo gene. He was a full himbo.
Everyone probably listened to this entire podcast waiting.
It's like, how have you not said Kong Han Newell? How have you not said it?
Look,
and I was like, I have to say
my issue with Kong Han Newell is that I was like, I mean, he was kind of a lot of all I thought about for a period of time. Like I was very deeply focused. And then through like slow attrition of a few things, I just kind of have like let that go and I've focused on other priorities like Park Young-sik and then BTS. So I mean like Kong Han Newell, I'm like, look, I'm just waiting for like the right vehicle to, I'm ready for him to come back. There have been 3, I loved him in Moon Lovers, I loved him in Camellias, and I loved him in Misang. I am ready for him to come back. Curtain Call didn't do it for me. Pirates didn't do it for me.
No, Pirates. No.
So Park Young-sik is a good himbo. Is he a himbo at all in Dr. Slump?
No. I would say there's like it's a golden retriever.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
Which I love. He's a valedictorian. Actually he's the second. She is more competent. So it's like basically what's fun about them. And even though like there's flashbacks where they're high school kids, it doesn't take itself seriously, really. Like, so yes, they're like 30 somethings playing high school kids sometimes, like in these flashbacks, but I don't feel like you're like really meant to like just sit there all in on like the dramas of the high school. Basically, the fact of the matter is he was always just like the best student. And then when she joined the school, she just like was better than him at everything. And so the reason it's called Dr. Slump is more, it's not like there's a doctor who's a slump. It's more like the Dr. Slump. It's like both in different ways. These two highly competent people have like been super railroaded. It's actually like a really sweet, like enemies to lovers story with like a dose of mental health awareness.
Okay. I do want to
both get into like some depression, but there's a really funny scene in it where they're in high school and, she's developed a technique to consume Maxim only by pouring the powder into her mouth because she doesn't want to take the time to drink it or make coffee. Like that's how dedicated she is to her study. And he's like, you are crazy. And then the next scene you see, because everything she does crazy, he has to emulate. And so you see him and he's just constantly like pouring the powder into his mouth. Like you do it, I'll do it too.
Oh, I love him.
So that's where like the high school flashbacks kind of was a reason I wasn't going to watch it. It doesn't matter. I mean, they're kind of played for because it's kind of serious and modern. Like there's like a lot of pain and healing happening in the modern times. So the flashbacks are actually kind of funny. They're just like silly.
Cool. I do think if you're looking for something to watch with Poppy next, I do think that you guys would like Twinkling Watermelon, which is what I'm watching right now. It's time travel. It's high school.
Because Poppy and I are ready. Yeah, so that could be. Look, we're gonna see what the chicken nugget brings.
I am going to. It starts this. Well,
it starts Friday.
It starts in 2 days from the time of recording.
Recording. I am
March 15th.
So excited.
I'm just going to be optimistic.
You guys are way more excited than I am about this. Like
because
I am expecting it to be redonkulous.
But that's what I'm excited about.
but
like I want. If
it's a really good
ridiculous,
cast. It's a good.
Who is
cast.
in it that you're so excited about?
What?
Who is in it that you were so excited about?
Let's look up
the guy from
Chicken Nugget.
Reply 1988, the older brother from,
and he's always in good dramas. I love him.
Yeah.
On Jae Hong.
Right. I do like him.
And so I just feel like I trust when he's in something because he hasn't super let me down. I just really like him.
I mean, Kim Yoo Jung is only in it for a minute because she gets turned into a chicken nugget.
It's true. But then who's the other guy who's in it? He's been in like a bunch of kind of like random stuff.
I honestly didn't know. That's why I was asking.
Ryu Sung Rong. So he's more of an Ajusi 1970 birthday.
Ooh, we like.
But yeah, he's been in. Yeah, so I'm just curious to see like how he comes into it. But I think the thing that got me,
I didn't know who was in
was I thought the chicken nugget was going to be sentient. Like I thought we were going to have a chicken nugget.
It's a nugget. They're trying to not get eaten.
Yeah, they don't want it. Yeah,
or rot. I mean, there's going to just be so much. I don't know why.
How are you going to get a full drama about saving a chicken nugget?
That's what I don't understand. That's why I'm fascinated to see what the writers are doing with it.
Yeah, this entire thing is 100% built in on the fact that I am trusting on Jae Hong to continue to delight me. I still like him in Fight for My Way. He's not the most popular in Fight for My Way. I loved him in Reply 1988. I loved him in Be Melodramatic. I just trust his judgment when he plays characters. He has, unlike Kang Ha-neul, he has not let me down.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, if you want us to do a full episode on like our initial reactions to Chicken Nugget, let us know because I want to do that. So I want to.
That's what I was thinking we would do. Is that we would watch episode 1 when it drops and talk about it immediately.
1 and 2, yeah, and talk about it, and then and then
see if we stick with it.
I didn't realize that Jae Hong was also in Mask Girl. I think I need to see Mask Girl.
Oh, you will look at him. So he's he's scum of the earth in Mask Girl.
Wow.
I mean,
and that's why he's so
he just picks great roles. I'm just saying, this is why I think Chicken Nugget's going to be great.
When I recognized who he was in Mask Girl, first of all, you barely realize it's him. They completely changed him. He has like thinning hair. You're not really sure. And he's like a terrible, terrible character. But I was like, holy crap. Like, this is incredible that I thought it was also very risky because I think he kind of has more of a like lovable like vibe, and then he was willing to take those risks for Mask Girl. Mask Girl?
So have you
insane?
Have you looked up the poster of just Google Mask Girl and hit images, or not Mask Girl, Chicken Nugget?
Okay,
because I didn't realize that the poster is as ridiculous as it is.
What? It's just them looking at a chicken nugget?
No, it exceeds.
Yes, I have seen this.
Oh, wait, there's a face in the nugget?
Yes, it's her head in a nugget.
I don't think there actually is, though. I don't. It's just that she's playing the nugget.
No, but for the poster.
Yeah. Yes. I can't believe they put her face on a nugget for the poster. Oh, God, I didn't know that. Oh,
I'm all in. I'm watching it the opening night.
How do they know which nugget is her?
I know, that's Amy.
I don't know.
I can't take this seriously.
I don't even like slapstick, but I'm expecting greatness.
We have been talking about Chicken Nugget for a year. I mean, we brought this up like a year ago.
Yeah, no, I'm expecting absolute. I think it's going to be surrealist and really smart. I'm calling it.
Better be. I'll be disappointed.
I cannot.
Yeah, no.
I
think we are going to be
smart. So I'm voting against.
He's in smart drama. No, he's in smart stuff. Okay, the gauntlet is thrown. He has only been. I think it's going to be some sort of like meta surrealism. Wait,
I think you're giving it too much credit. It's called Chicken Nugget. She steps into a box.
Okay, so
comes out a nugget.
I can't even tell you because I'm okay. Like, let's look at look, the only other thing that this guy has written that I've seen that is a television show, because he's only done two other television shows. He did Be Melodramatic, and Be Melodramatic is one of the most emotionally rich.
Wait, this is the. Are you saying the
author-director of Chicken Nugget wrote
Okay.
Be the Melodramatic.
Okay.
Which is so smart, so heartfelt, so powerful. I still can't believe I
not waste,
read it.
Let's not waste some of the best talking about Chicken Nugget here, because we're going to talk about Chicken Nugget.
Okay.
Hopefully next week.
Stay tuned. We'll be covering Chicken Nugget, everyone. Right. Okay, so you got to watch it too. Okay. Everyone who's listening.
But let us know your favorite himbos. Who do we?
Yeah.
No, it's not how it fucking works. It's just Anya.
He's like, peace out. Right. Let us know your favorite himbos. This was a really fun topic. We do want to thank
Leah.
Yeah, we do want to thank Fated Mates again for the inspiration. And what did you say?
I said, who's the biggest? No, actually, if there's a himbo among us, Megan.
It's me.
It's Megan.
Right.
Yeah, Megan's the himbo.
Right. I'm the himbo wrapped in saran wrap and icy hot. So, all right,
Nothing
everyone.
But love.
I love that you guys unanimously agreed. Like, the Macne.
No, I'm too villainous.
Yeah.
All right.
He's too smart.
Yeah.
All right, till next week, guys.
Annyeong.
Annyeong.
Kamsahamnida. Thank you for listening to Afternoona Delight. Where can you find us outside the pod? Head on over to afternoonadelight.com. That's AFTERNOONADELIGHT.com. You'll find links to all our social media, our book recs, K-pop and K-skincare recs, and if you want even more Afternoona Delight, because really who doesn't, you can join our Patreon, where you can choose the patron level that's right for you. Join in daily K-drama conversations, listen to bonus podcast episodes just for patrons, and participate in our monthly live K-drama support group via Zoom. We can't wait for you to be a part of the community. Until next time, annyeong!